Sims 4 isn't too popular nowadays, is it? It feels like everywhere you go, someone's shitting on this game. Even the biggest Sims YouTubers are quick to tell you how bad this game is. So, is Sims 4 truly a disaster? Or is it just misunderstood? To uncover the truth about Sims 4, we're gonna have to take it way back to 2008. EA and Maxis started development on a new game called Project Olympus that was supposed to be an online multiplayer Sims game. Since the game would be multiplayer, a lot of features such as the open world exploration would be pulled out to make the game easier to run on lower end devices. This makes sense for a multiplayer game because the emphasis is on player-to-player interaction and not necessarily on the world itself. Sims that were being controlled by players would have a blue plumb bob over their head instead of a green one, making blue and green the official branding colors of Project Olympus. Blue and green, that sounds familiar. EA and Maxis would continue working on this game for another 5 years in silence until something happened that sent shockwaves through the industry. As 2013 rolled around, EA would release SimCity 5. SimCity 5, also known as SimCity 2013, was one of the most highly anticipated city building games of all time, and it failed miserably because of stupid design decisions like making the game online only and the extremely small city sizes. Honestly, what were they thinking? The game was unplayable at launch because EA servers couldn't handle the influx of players trying to hop on, and this was back in 2013 when login queues weren't even a thing yet. People couldn't play the game they just paid full price for, and as you can imagine, everyone was pissed. SimCity 5 turned out so bad that it ended up being the last game in the series, killing off a loved franchise that had been around since the late 80s. It honestly sucks knowing that in some alternate timeline, SimCity 5 was an absolute banger. It was at this point that EA and Maxis had a very dark realization. SimCity flopped in part because of the online multiplayer features included in the game, and these same features are also in Project Olympus. Seeing how negatively the players reacted to SimCity, the executives at EA got together to hatch up a plan. After lots of deliberation, they decided to scrap all the progress they'd made over the past 5 years and start from scratch, leaving them with only about a year to complete the next Sims game. Think about this, gang. Sims 4 was developed in 1 year. 1 year. This created a ripple effect that still haunts this game today. A lot of the assets from Olympus would be reused, as we can tell from early screenshots. They're pretty much the same game. People have even dug into the Sims 4 source code and found references to Project Olympus, basically confirming that these are the same game. A lot of critical features that were now staples in the series would be removed in the interest of time, but none of us knew this at the time. From the outside looking in, fans had every right to be excited for Sims 4. EA and Maxis had years to develop a banger that expanded upon the foundation laid by Sims 2 and 3, arguably some of the best games of their time. With the release date getting closer and closer, only time would tell. When Sims 4 launched at the full price of $60, there was a lot of controversy going around. Features that fans were accustomed to from older games were watered down or removed completely. Beyond the obvious lack of critical features like open world exploration and vehicles, the game even launched without basic necessities like pools and basements. Could you imagine? At launch, we didn't even have toddlers in the game. The neighborhood view was absolutely horrendous. I honestly can't believe that people sat down and approved this. All it takes is one look at the Sims 3 worlds to understand why fans were so upset. Bruh, the early neighborhood view didn't even have color. That shit was just grayscale. The new Create a Sim added a lot of functionality, but personally I'm not really the type to spend a bunch of time sculpting and dressing up my Sims. One of the biggest changes in Create a Sim though was that Sims only have 3 traits instead of 5. The traits were also watered down from previous games, having less of an impact on your Sim's personality and actions. The emotions in this game seem like a nice addition at first, but after a while they become annoying more than anything else. Sims are bipolar and they often switch rapidly between different moods. Managing emotion in this game felt like more of a drawback than a new and exciting feature. I definitely prefer the Sims 3 system of managing your overall mood as opposed to trying to micromanage all these different emotional states in Sims 4. I'll go over emotions again a little bit later in the video. I have mixed feelings about the aspirations in Sims 4. On one hand, I really like the fact that we can complete several aspirations with one sim, but on the other hand, it feels like these aspirations are way too easy to complete. While the lifetime wish in Sims 3 simply told you what your end goal was, Sims 4 aspirations give you a step-by-step guide on how to complete those aspirations. To that end, they feel kind of watered down, like I don't really get excited or feel like I accomplished anything when I actually beat them. In contrast, Sims 3 had lifetime wishes that actually took some effort and time to complete and made you feel like a boss after completing them. While I wasn't a big fan of the aspirations, I did really like the rewards in Sims 4. The options themselves are quite limited, even with a bunch of DLC, but I feel like the pricing is more reasonable compared to Sims 3. In Sims 3, it felt like certain powerful rewards were really cheap and easy to get, so I like that Sims 4 kind of rescaled the pricing. One thing I wish that we did have was some more wacky and creative rewards to buy like we had in the older titles though. While we're talking about things being too easy, we might as well just talk about the game as a whole. With so many features hastily removed from the game, it felt like it was way too easy. There's no open world anymore, so you don't have to save up for a $60,000 car. There's no robbers anymore, so you never need to worry about buying a security system or getting your furniture stolen. It just feels like there's not enough bad things that can happen in this game, even when you factor in DLC. Finally, and perhaps the worst of all, is the loading screens. Since there was no open world, you had to sit through a loading screen anytime you wanted to visit a different lot. This made leaving the house a true hassle, and I almost always just had my Sims stay home because I didn't want to get sucked out of the gameplay. While there were a lot of features gutted for Sims 4, we did actually get some improvements with the base game. Build mode is by far the best in Sims 4, making building and furnishing lots one of the most satisfying aspects of this game. There are also lots of build buy options in the base game compared to previous titles. Overall, the base game isn't that fun, and you don't have to look far to be reminded of that. But Sims games either live or die by the DLC, so it was time to waste some money. With Sims 4 off to a very rough start, the expansions would really have to shine to turn the ship around. And let's just say, Sims 4 is definitely known for its expansions nowadays. First, I'm going to touch over the negatives and then I'll go over the positives. Alright, let's just put this out there right now from the get-go. From launch day in 2014 up to now when I'm recording this video, there have been 77 paid expansions released for this game, costing a total of more than $1,200.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Expansion packs, which are supposed to add the most content to the game, often come bare bones and only with a few hours of actual good gameplay. Even the easiest layup packs that are in every single Sims game, like University, Late Night, were fumbled. Just take a quick look at any Sims 3 expansion and you'll be blown away by how much content is included in comparison to Sims 4. I have to say one of the most blatant downgrades was from Island Paradise to Island Living. So if you ever get bored, do yourself a favor and look that up. I found that most of the content included in packs is usually just fluff. For example, look at parenting or high school years. Parenting your Sims children so they can earn positive traits feels like micromanaging more than anything. Yeah, you can go to school in high school years, but after your first day, you've probably seen about 60% of all the content in this pack. Unfortunately, the DLCs are not only bare bones, but they come with lots of bugs, especially the more recent ones. Some of the most infamous packs are Dine Out and Wedding Stories, which still haven't been fixed by EA after years of complaints from the community. Yet, somehow, they still find a way to squeeze in some more paid DLC. Some more recent examples include Crystal Creations and For Rent. There was even a recent bug where players were losing entire saves because EA released a broken patch. I'd be lying if I said Sims 4 expansions were all bad. Like I said earlier, I have over 500 hours dumped into this game. While any single expansion pack won't fundamentally change your game on its own, adding a handful of expansions will start to sprinkle in features and functionalities that really flesh out the game. While the overall quality of expansions has gone down, Sims 4 always did a really good job of at least having one major feature that will carry over into every single playthrough. One of my favorite features in Sims 4 is the custom holiday system introduced with Seasons. Get Together had the cool club system which gives your Sims crazy skill and relationship gain boosts. Get Famous brought us a fame system with skill trees and the acting career, which I played way too many times. Growing Together would add social dynamics to relationships. Get to Work would add the ability to open retail stores and follow your Sim to work with certain professions. While these bigger, overarching features have extremely high replayability, the same can't be said for the rest of the content in these packs. EA knew the gameplay in their Sims 4 expansions was lacking, so they made up for it by giving us way more build buy items. As a result, this is the best build buy mode we've had in any Sims game. There's a huge selection of furniture and appliances to choose from, and build mode was improved significantly over Sims 3. I'm a huge fan of the modular furniture introduced in the Dream Home Decorator pack, and I really hope we get more sets like this in the next Sims game. I really love the cabinets and all the customization options we have there as well. But while we had hella options to choose from, it still feels kinda limited because of the swatches. Where Sims 3 had create a style, allowing you to fully customize nearly everything in your world, we had swatches in Sims 4, meaning you now had to pick between a handful of colors that the game wanted you to have. It's a video game after all, so the gameplay is what's most important, right? Well, Sims 4 gameplay honestly isn't that bad. It has a way of sucking you in for hours at a time without even noticing. Once you add a few DLCs to your game, there's gonna be a lot for you to do. Like I just mentioned, most expansions added a fundamental feature that would carry over into every other household. This really fleshes out the game and makes it feel more complete. But it also raises the question, couldn't most of these features just been included in the base game? While the gameplay can be fun at times, it's really held back by loading screens. Like I said earlier, you have to pay the loading screen anytime you want to leave the lot. This completely breaks any sense of immersion in the game, often causing me to pick up my phone or pull up videos on my laptop while I play. While The Sims 3 commands your full attention as you travel with your Sims around the neighborhood in real time, Sims 4 almost requires you to have some other form of stimuli to keep you engaged. I swear, playing this game without Spotify or YouTube in the background can put me to sleep. And it did put me to sleep the other day. This is supposed to be a life simulator, and here we are watching our Sims teleport to and from the house while we sit back and wait for them to return like a sad dog. That brings me to my next point of the gameplay loop in Sims 4 being extremely repetitive. The new emotion system seemed like a good idea at first, but it's terrible in practice. With certain emotions giving you boosts to certain skill gains, I found myself going through the same routine with my Sims over and over again. Oh, you're an actor? Psych yourself up, practice acting for 4 hours, go to work, sleep, and repeat. You're an athlete? Cool, take an energized shower, work out for 4 hours, go to work, go to sleep, and repeat. Daily work tasks don't help either. You'll get the same task every day to boost performance, which forces you into this monotonous routine if you want to advance your Sim in their career. Emotions were supposed to make the gameplay more spontaneous and organic, but instead it had the effect of making gameplay feel more repetitive and predictable. Sims will flip between emotions faster than somebody with bipolar disorder, I swear, often making the system a headache to deal with. One of the worst things plaguing Sims 4, in my opinion, is that it feels like it lacks any real passion. It feels like they put more effort into marketing their DLC than they'd put into making the DLC itself. Not to mention, most of the trailers for expansions in this game qualify as false advertising.
This is completely over-exaggerated and nothing like the real game. So it shows your Sims like battling out in a scene. This is very, very cleverly filmed to make it look like you can actually do these things in the game. The actual acting career itself is a lot more dry and lackluster than this, and all of these different things do not happen.
Sishatab de Prodi Criffum Miffum. Shishatab de Prodi Criffum Miffum. Yibs. Prodi de Yibs.
As I briefly mentioned earlier, most of these DLCs also release with game-breaking bugs and glitches that ruin the gameplay. I didn't have a PC when Sims 4 came out, so I played it on my PS4. If you thought the PC version of Sims 4 is a mess, I wish you guys could have been there with me when these DLCs were coming out on PS4. I used to get the nastiest frame rate drops, stuttering, especially after switching to build mode. There used to be this weird bug where Sims couldn't put down toddlers. There were even times when my game would break completely, with all my Sims freezing and not doing anything at all. Most of these bugs have been taken care of, thankfully, as they took place years ago, but it makes you wonder why they're releasing the DLC in this state at all. I mean, do they really not test the stuff that they're releasing? They literally make billions of dollars every year, and they can't afford one quality control guy to test the game. You know what I'm saying? EA had the people and the money to turn Sims 4 into something spectacular, even after the shitty release, but they just didn't want to. It's just disappointing. Wow, it's really not looking good, is it, you guys? Wait a minute. There's still something I haven't talked about. What is it? Oh, mods. With Sims 4 on life support, dying from the neglect at the hands of EA, mods help breathe a little bit more life into the game. I've only played with 2 mods at this point, being Wicked Whims and Basemental Drugs, but I've had lots of fun with them. There's even a mod that fixes Dine Out. Carl's Dine Out Reloaded mod not only fixes the pack, but adds new gameplay like allowing you to work at the restaurant and turn it into a fast food joint. Basemental Drugs allows your Sims to get faded, and Wicked Whims allows your Sims to get X-rated. Mods add a lot of functionality to the game, and in some cases they even fix DLC that EA was too lazy to patch themselves. The modding community is very talented, and if I didn't have all my packs on PS4, I'd probably be a huge fan of Sims 4 mods. Unfortunately, as talented as the modding community is, you just can't fill the void that's left by no open world, no cars, and all the other countless features that were torn out. With everything being said, it sounds like Sims 4 is a disaster, right? Well, honestly, it is, but it's a fun disaster. Despite all these well-known issues, there's still a ton of people playing this game. Thanks to the modding community, the game isn't as boring as it normally is. With Sims 4 being out for nearly 10 years now, there have been a number of quality of life updates to the game, but there have been even more DLC releases. Back when they started Project Olympus in 2008, EA was looking to create an online multiplayer game that they could pack full of microtransactions. While the online functionalities had to be scrapped, the microtransactions were here to stay. Although I can't deny Sims 4 is fun, I can't play it for more than an hour without being overcome by the urge to play Sims 3. Everywhere I look, I'm reminded of a feature that was removed or something that Sims 3 did better. While we were all expecting Sims 4 to take the series forward in new and exciting ways, we were instead met with disappointment. For fans who were there for older Sims games, Sims 4 felt like a slap to the face. So, to answer the question, is Sims 4 really that bad? It hurts to say, but yes, it is. Don't get me wrong, this game isn't bad in a vacuum. If it's the only game you've ever played, like it was for me when I first got into Sims, you'll probably have a lot of fun with it. But when you start to compare it to the games that came before it, like Sims 3 and even Sims 2, Sims 4 starts to feel like the outdated game. Wow, we made it to the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys want to see some more Sims content, make sure to subscribe. Doses.